This is it's a really unusual majlis. So I'll start by making some housekeeping announcement. So the reverence for Maulanas is not what it used to be, right? So this is just for starters, which is wonderful, Zahra. This is about 4 times more people than what we were told who will attend the majlis. So mashallah, the soul of late H.M. Habib and I'm sure H.M. Habib family will be very pleased. We call it the Puranak Majlis, mashallah. Inna Allah malaikatu yasalluna ala nabi ya ayyuhallazina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I feel I'm genuinely deeply honored and humbled to be asked to read this majlis by HM family and to speak at this memorial. I'll begin by saying a few things about the tradition of majlis as remembrance of our deceased and its background. The origin of such majlis is traced to the time of the Holy Prophet himself at the Battle of Uhud precisely, where Prophet's beloved uncle Hamza was martyred. This was a battle when Muslims of Medina suffered a great deal of casualties. When Prophet returned to Medina, there was mourning in many homes. In their love for the Holy Prophet, people, while paying tributes to their own deceased, they also included the mourning and remembrance of Prophet's uncle as part of their mourning rituals, which was essentially historians trace as the first ever series of majalis in which people combined the memory of their own loved ones with the memory of the family of the Prophet. This profound practice of empathy till this day is common among indigenous people of Medina. So indigenous original people of Medina, when they have a death in the family, while they mourn for the deceased and the departed, they also remember in their eulogies Hazrat Hamza to this date. Many Muslims, especially Shias, have adopted this principle by combining the remembrance of their nears and dears with the memory of suffering and sacrifices of the noble members of the household of the Prophet, Ahlul Bayt. May this congregation be blessed because of such associations. Ameen. For today though, the request from the host is to focus on a universal theme, the relationship between a daughter and a father. This is a theme I feel particularly moved by, personally, because I am blessed with 3 beautiful daughters of my own. I will start by a favorite saying of mine about daughters. A daughter may outgrow your lap, but she'll never outgrow your heart. What this saying indicates is that it is the most key relationship for both involved, which defines the core of their being for the rest of their lives. Think about it. The most immediate gender relationship that a person is likely to encounter early in their lives are mother and son, brother and sister, and of course daughter and father. The first 2 during the formative years, early years of one's life, are not an exact representation of the dynamics of the unfortunate world that is dominated by men. In a father-daughter dynamic, it's a vulnerable female child coming in contact with usually a dominant and prominent male figure in the family. That moment is a crucial, critical, and sensitive one for both. It's a choice, whether conscious or subconscious, a father makes about the nature of this connection for the rest of their respective life. It's a connection which has defined both fathers and daughters throughout history. To quote 2 contrasting examples, the notorious Ivan the Terrible was a Tsar in Russia. If one reads Ivan's life story, he was wildly successful ruler by the standards of 16th century Eastern Europe. He was a good conqueror, administrator, expanded his empire, and so on. But the underlying reason for his notorious title, Ivan the Terrible, is because of his horrific relationship with his children, particularly with his daughter. Contrast that to a great name in science and discovery, Charles Darwin. One of the key reasons he continues to be regarded with great veneration and respect, not only by his iconic contribution to science, but also being a doting and committed father in the 19th century England. And his relationship with his family, especially with his daughter, has been very fondly accounted for by the daughter. Her name is Frances Darwin, who wrote multiple tributes to this wonderful father figure. The above two examples essentially highlight a simple, elegant, and profound truth, recently brought to light by one of the longest and most extensive longitudinal study. We have research doctors here, so they would know. The most extensive longitudinal study in the history of academy that spanned over 80 years, the famous Harvard Happiness Study. It recently presented its key finding responding to a defining and complex question of human condition. So the research question of this study was simple. What is happiness and who are happy? The answer was one of the most obvious but a battered down truth of our era. So what is happiness? So to their utter surprise, with all the analysis and regression and statistics and 80-year data spanned over 80 years and spanning many countries and societies and cultures, the distilled down truth of that was that happiness is nothing but meaningful relationships. Meaningful relationships starting with the family, rooted in a sense of community, kinship, and fellowship. Right? People who have those are happy. People who don't have those will never be happy. The edifice of our entire inheritance has been crafted to build and expand relationships. I'm talking about inheritance in our part of the world, in our cultures. Unfortunately, we are now many generations in an era which runs in direct contradiction to this sensibility. Connections, communities, families, clans, traditions, values oftentimes are viewed as great impediments to individual and materialistic pursuits. Follow your own dream. Don't care about anybody else. That's the mantra of the life that we live in. Our inheritance, which allowed its inheritors to experience crowded families, communities, various forms of akhlaq, adab, values, not only as meaningful but sacred, which illuminates this with the same force that makes the stars glow, the force of love and the mystical oneness of all things. And it's a majlis, so I'm not going to be using the word sacred loosely. One of the most sacred features of our spiritual doctrine is the reverence of Ahlul Bayt, the people of Prophet's household, the archetypical family, which is the foundation of spawning a memory and inheritance etched in our spiritual imagination, an illuminating example of devotion, giving, and sacrifice for each other. The core feature of this sacredly enshrined household is the love and reverence of the Prophet for his daughter Fatima Zahra. That's the core feature of Ahlul Bayt. As a matter of fact, it's a household because of her. It is reported repeatedly in all hadith literature that Prophet would stand up every time his daughter would come to meet with him and would not sit till the time she is seated. This is not just an extraordinary display of affection. This is a display of reverence and respect. And this reverence and respect became part of Islamic narrative, spreaded and entrenched in Asian and African society. And it's not coincidental that the Sultan Delhi, had a female ruler 300 years before they had the first female queen in England. Right? This is the magic of this inheritance. The need to seek inspiration from the illuminating examples of this epoch-making bond of father and daughter cannot be more urgent in our era. Our era of infinite insecurities and cruelty, in this so-called world of men, money, and power, which hums merrily along in a pool of fear, anger, and frustration. This father-daughter bond heals both genders of these insecurities and fears. It helps the daughters to believe in an unquestioned sense of self-worth, and perhaps more importantly, it makes fathers discover something sacred and precious inside them, to heal themselves from this toxic stereotype. Look at what they call Bibi Zahra when she cherished and nurtured her own father. Umme Abiha, the mother of her own father. Talk about overturning all these stereotypes. I wish I had better than this narration to carry on, But I'd like to close here with this prayer that fathers in this gathering, may all the fathers be blessed with this soul healing love for our daughters. Ameen. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.